So we've touched on searches slightly, but there's different types of searches, isn't there?
Yeah.
So you've got kind of local authority, you've got
Yeah.
drainage, you've got environmental. What are the reasons for them, and what is the difference between each of those three?
So, yeah, they are different, but the point is they're all checking slightly different things, which are all potentially going to impact the property in different ways. So, for example, flood search, fairly obvious, is checking the propensity of the house to flood. So I live in Chester Green in Derby, and when the Derwent bursts banks, which it does about twice a year at the minute, although I sit behind a massive, great big flood wall, if you look on a map, I'm about 10 metres away from somewhere that floods every single year. So that then has an impact on the cost of insurance and things like that. So my home insurance is pretty expensive. I pay 80 quid a month because I want to be covered for flooding in case that wall doesn't work one day. And the reason things like this are important is because stuff like that can affect saleability of the property. And that's a very real thing, because when I bought my house, I thought we'd missed out on it actually when I was buying it, because someone else got their offer accepted, and 6 weeks later they walked away from the transaction because they worked out they couldn't get home insurance. I knew people, so I knew I could, but that's why I got the house for about 10 grand less than what they were paying for it as well. So it all worked out well, but it does affect saleability of a house. And when you've got a mortgage lender who's agreeing to lend on the basis that, well, you know what, if you don't pay your mortgage, we know we can sell the house for X amount of money and we'll get our money back one way or another. So that gives a nice sort of background to why the searches are important. Then you got other things like, I would say, sort of local government searches. That's more to do with sort of planning applications.
So is there something going to be built behind you?
Are they going to put HS2 through your back garden? That sort of thing.
Which again could affect.
They're not.
Not anymore. But that's because that could affect saleability moving forward.
And that's the point. Is all these searches mean slightly different things, but they are all things which could impact saleability or insurance, or could be a really expensive problem to put right. Where
they're things you want to know.
Yeah, if you've got a really expensive problem, it could mean that your house is worth less than what it costs to fix the problem. So in essence, you've got an asset especially maybe with a mortgage secured on it. House could be worth 200,000 quid, but there's 250,000 quid bill. Well, your house is worth minus 50,000 quid at that point. So who's going to want to buy it? I mean, common ones around here. I'm based in Amber Valley, so we get coal mine reports an awful lot.
So that's same with where we're from.
Yeah, and where we are today, we're near Stony Middleton and all those places, more towards Matlock, and there's mine shafts everywhere. I seriously looked at like a little barn conversion that came up a few years ago. I'm glad I didn't do it, because I still would be umming and ahhing about starting or finishing any DIY job, because I've never finished a DIY job in my life.
I've never started one.
Well, yeah, but it was a tiny little plot, had this barn on it, but it had 3 mine shafts on the property. So it's, it would just be something you'd need to be very aware of, that you're going into these things with your eyes open, because searches might come up with something like I said with the flooding. I've lived around that area for probably about 30 of my 38 years, and I feel like I know that river relatively well. I like the area, and I know my home insurance is going to be a bit more expensive, but I'm fine with it. So it might not be something which means that you don't want to buy the house anymore, but it might just be something you need to be aware of.